in, everybody. Whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world, this is Coast to Coast. And we got Pags flying back from the West Coast. How's it going, man?
Exactly. I'm on the West Coast, headed back to the East Coast. So it's been a fun couple days. I can't really go into much of what it is that I did. However, everybody will see it soon enough.
Right on. Right on. How's everybody else
Yeah,
doing?
I'd love to be able to show you guys and stuff like that. It'll be awesome, and you guys will laugh when you see it. I will tell you that.
Okay. Did I take it had to be painted up for most of it?
I was painted up for most of it, and I was doing things that even for me are a little out of my comfort zone.
Okay, now I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, there's not too much you're uncomfortable.
Did it have anything that would hurt your body in any kind of way?
Well, seeing that you see me fine, no.
No, you never know.
Did you die?
Did you die?
Interestingly enough, I'm going to be doing a bike ride, a 24-hour bike ride, Saturday all day, and then into Sunday. That'll hurt my body more than what this commercial did.
I mean, yeah.
One more question. Did you have to compromise any of your morals or values in this commercial?
There's something wrong with you, Jay.
You know what he said? He said they had me doing things that I didn't know I'd done before. I'm just asking if he compromised any morals or values. That's all. No big deal.
Why are we taking this a weird place this early in the show? Like,
I'm sorry. I thought we were playing 20 questions to guess what Pags did. I'm sorry. My bad. I'll be quiet.
Well, no. The thing with the commercial is you can't talk too much about it until they release it.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You don't talk about it. You just give head nods.
Yeah, I have a one of those NDAs.
Exactly.
So that usually means non-disclosure.
Yeah.
Which means that it doesn't matter how many questions you ask, Jay, I still have to do that, or else they don't pay.
Exactly.
So we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, what NDA actually stands for? What NDA actually stands for? Shut up, Jay.
You know what though? You know how many NDAs have been signed by people in this world, and them things didn't mean a damn thing. They still got beans spilled.
I mean, I signed one yesterday. I'm not going to be talking about the radio show that my Wednesday show's going on.
There you go.
Because
there you go.
That's what
we're smart.
That's what they're for. They're like, it's the don't talk about it.
See, now that I don't know about that Wednesday show, I suspect that I will be the first guest that you bring on.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a long-standing show. It's just now going to be simulcast onto a radio station also. So.
Oh, all right. Well,
yeah, it's not a new show. It's just another avenue that it'll be, live on. But it's new to them. So this is the one thing I can tell you, which will be hilarious because you guys all know me, and there's a demo that seems odd. This is a Christian jazz station. And I know that I just include Christian jazz, right?
Nice.
100%. There is no doubt in my mind.
When you think of jazz music and Christian whatever, you're like, who's that guy? But it's a sports
Hallelujah.
It's a sports show, and so I won't be doing jazz programming. Yeah,
got to start somewhere.
Hey.
And it's always good to start with the Lord.
There's nothing better than Jesus and a saxophone. I mean, literally.
It's a good thing it's on the radio so that they don't watch me catch on fire. Like, that's really what it is.
Those sprinkles of holy water before the show. Here we go.
keep that away from me.
Why is the holy water turning into steam?
Man. Anyway, we do have something kind of interesting. Stat Guys sent this in the group chat this morning, and kind of a strange, not surprising, but I think it's the dollar figure that is a little bit surprising.
Yeah,
you have high school kids getting NIL collectives, so it's not the actual NIL. So they're finding ways around that part of it, paying high school kids up to $20,000 a month to commit to their school. So they're buying their commitments. Now, if they go to a different school, they have to pay whatever back. But I mean, you're talking almost $250,000 a year for a high school kid. That's wild.
Especially when some of these kids are committing now as freshmen.
No, that's what I'm saying.
If
Like,
you're paying
you could be
$20,000
coming out of high school $750,000 deep.
Yeah.
Well, if you commit as a freshman and you start getting paid as a freshman, now you're talking $1 million.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. $1 million, damn. I guarantee you that kid's going to take an economics class to learn how to deal with $1 million.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, I would have taken school a little more seriously if I was going to make $250K a year to be a good student and play sports. Like I would have been far more engaged.
Oh, yeah. Easily more engaged. And I guarantee you probably have some of the discipline issues going down. Well, not really, because how many kids would actually get that, I guess, you know? Maybe one or two a school, maybe. Who knows?
Well, I mean, yeah, at best. But at the same time, you're giving high school kids crazy amounts of money. So they're going to do a lot of dumb stuff.
So maybe it goes up.
I mean, right? Like it's real. I mean, you know, like they say, money just amplifies who you are, right? So it, you know, if it's a good kid, it'll work out. If it's not, it probably won't.
I mean, at this point, you're essentially paying high school kids basically money that the top 10% of the working force in this country make. And they're not even working really. They go to class, they do their football stuff and their weight training, and that is basically like, as long as you stay committed to us for the next X amount of years, we'll keep giving you $20,000 a month just so you don't go to another school. So just stay out of trouble and go to school. We'll take care of you.
And they only have to pay it back if they decommit. If the school decommits, nothing happens.
Exactly. You still get that money.
Yep. Yeah. Crazy.
I'm wondering if another school tried to come in and get an already committed student, and a committed student said, well, I'm already getting $20,000 a month from this university. If I decommit and go to you guys, then I got to get the money back. If that other university says, okay, what? Go ahead and decommit. We'll give you $500,000. And you'll basically still get your $250,000 or $20,000 a month. We'll just pay off what you owe the other school. I wonder if those kinds of things would come up.
I mean,
that'll absolutely occur.
Yeah.
But what the bigger issue here is that when you have high school students that are getting that type of money and that becomes public knowledge, you're going to have a lot of haters that are on the field that are going to start to do things specifically to try to ruin that kid's life. Like this is going to start to get way out of hand here. That's going to be a big deal, because that's the first thing that I would do. Like if I'm a kid who's not getting $20,000, you know, and not on that team, I'm going to go out of my way to try to make sure that kid knows. Oh, you're getting $20,000? Well, I'm going to make my name known on you, and that's how that's going to start to occur. That's not a good thing. I think that this is all going to start to unravel very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that as out of hand as it's been, it continues to find new ways to get further out of hand.
Right.
It's like they're trying to grab water. It's not going to work. They really needed to have better plans before they implemented this thing. And man, it just,
what did Kirby Smart say? Basically, now high school is just nothing more than free agency when they commit them like that. I mean,
yeah. So that wasn't Kirby Smart saying that. That was somebody in the comments on a Twitter post. But
was it okay? I wasn't sure if that was Kirby that said that. Or,
He's
not
essentially
wrong.
right.
So
He's
the
essentially
premise is
right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, the premise is right. It's nothing but free agency with the GPA is what the guy said.
And it's like it's like the transfer portals become now too. Like the transfer portals now become free agency because when you enter the transfer portal, it's no longer about you leaving the school to go to a better school. How many kids now are leaving because this school's giving them X amount of NIL money, but when they hit the transfer portal, they can potentially get more NIL money at another school. So it's becoming free agency in that aspect where you're going for more money in the NIL side of things.
Yeah,
It's almost like you're seeing the death of amateur sports, like at least in the football side of it,
it's
the death
gone.
of amateur sports. You know, it's almost
already
gone.
It's already gone. But I mean, for me, like I get it because 1% of those kids are going to make it to the league.
Yes.
So I'm trying to make as much money out of that college program, or in this case, high school, as I can. Right, because 90% of these kids are going to go get a job after this.
And like in the slippery slope with this thing too, if all this is accurate, where a kid's making $240,000 a year essentially, if they stay committed to the program. Let's just say a freshman in high school commits, he gets paid upwards of $960,000 by the time he gets to college.
Sure.
And then he plays 1 year of college football and says, football is just not for me anymore. I don't want to get hurt. Guess what? He still banks that $960,000, so he's already almost a millionaire by the time he's a freshman in college.
Well, and of course, anybody they're giving that money to in high school, they're given an NIL deal when they get to the college level also. Yeah. So even if they did stay for that 1 year in college, it's going to be whatever that 1 year in college was.
Yep.
Right. So you're looking at, probably
$2 million.
Well, I don't know that they'd give them $1 million, but I mean, it might be half, right? So you might be looking at like $1.5 million, maybe.
You're 18 years old. Not a bad living at 18 years old to be $1.5 million richer.
Yeah,
well, even that you're probably making more money than your parents are, and you can say, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm making more than you are."
It would be tough to see them bail out after 1 year, though, because if you're getting an NIL deal, you probably tough out college, right? Because you're going to have the whole rest of your life to not make money.
No, it would have made. I mean, that kind of money though would have made it a lot easier to not have a high school job though, and have to worry about like working.
Here's the other issue that comes with this: parents start to get involved in a big way because there's so much money that's too much money, and all of a sudden parents are going to start to get much crazier. So this is going to create problems across the board, like in terms of like umpires, referees, things like that, and parents getting involved. It's like, and now how does a school deal with this? How does a school deal with somebody else paying their students $20,000 a month just to play football? So what happens if the coach decides that it's not a kid that he likes and he decides not to play that kid? Does that start become a bigger deal? There's a lot of things, a lot of specifics in this. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a very big mess.
It just makes me think of Nico's dad, getting him forced out of Tennessee. That's going to be all over the high school level.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
So this is going to be a very weird thing to watch come together. Because if
I would not be surprised.
Worse, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
100%, because you're going to then start to see the private schools that have lots of money and big donors now all of a sudden get involved in the SIL, whatever it's called right now, for scholastic, it's name rights still for in high school students, and they're going to get these high school students.
It's just called the NIL Collective. So they're not even being sneaky about the name.
No. They could have called it anything different, but they're like, well, this is just, NIL on top of NIL. So congratulations. Here's more NIL money before you get your actual NIL money.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, the way I looked at it too, like when I saw I thought that they were saying the kids were getting $20,000 like a year at first, and then I saw it was $20,000 a month. The way I look at this too is this is essentially a signing bonus for these college athletes. Because you have like all the NFL players that when they sign their contracts, they have the X amount of money is the signing bonus right away, and then they kind of get that paid out like throughout the duration of their contract. This is essentially the signing bonus for the kids, where it's like you commit, you sign your name on the dotted line, we will give you a signing bonus of $20,000 a month until you enroll at our school. So this is essentially their signing bonus at this point for committing to the program.
Well, and for colleges, it's a way to lock in the people that they want and keep them, basically holding them at their word, because if they don't, then they got to pay the money back. So you're essentially buying your players, knowing that they're not going to decommit, knowing they're not going to go anywhere else. You got them locked in. You don't have to worry about that stress anymore. Now you can go on to other athletes that you need to secure. It's just another way to lock them in is all you're doing. Like you said, you're buying them.
Yeah, I mean, it guarantees you get them for at least 1 year, because none of those kids are going to keep enough of that money to buy their way back out of those programs. So, I mean,
oh, heck yeah.
As soon as they do that, they're locked into that school, because there's no way that the rest of their family, most of the time, maybe there's going to be an outlier here and there, but most of them aren't going to make enough money to buy themselves back out of it if they decided to go somewhere else.
My curiosity is,
right? Once they go, they could transfer portal.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. If you're giving these guys $1 million, are they just doing it for that 1 year, or are they giving them contracts to sign that says, "Hey, we're going to give you, $250,000 a year, but we want at least 2 years of college eligibility out of you before you go to the transfer"? I wonder if they're putting those kinds of things in those contracts, or is it just 1 year and you can then do whatever you want and you don't have to pay us anything?
Well, most of these NIL deals are 1 year at a time.
Okay.
But I would bet in the future they start to evolve.
Right. And not only that, any contract signed under the age of 18 is not really enforceable.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's where they end up getting the parents involved, signing as guardians. So, I mean, it may not be enforceable to the kid, but it would be to the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at what point does the kid get to say here? My parents forced me into this, and now I don't want to go to this school, and I'm giving the money back because my parents took it all. There's so many legal ramifications that would come with this.
Yeah, I mean, so some of those already happened. Child actors have dealt with that type of situation for forever, right? So I mean, some of these things will have some transfer from that realm, right? But yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be scenarios where the kid's like, "Yeah, I don't care. My parents are on the hook for this." That'll absolutely happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of disgruntled parents and children that are going to come out of this. Junior, you better get your ass to school. We need that $250,000.
I mean, there's going to be some of that, right? Like that will definitely happen.
My lighting is really bad right now because I don't have power.
Okay.
So I'm just running up my.
Try paying the bills sometimes, man.
They had to cut our power in our neighborhood because there was a gas leak right next to the power plant.
Perfect.
Like the circuit breaker type of thing. So they had to cut the power from all the people here to make sure the gas wasn't gonna basically blow everything up.
I mean, that's a good way to go. Try not to kill an entire neighborhood.
We're supposed to have it back by like 2:00. So.
Because I thought maybe the wife said, "You better turn that damn light off. I'm trying to sleep over here."
She's at work.
It's not that early anywhere, man.
Oh man, boy, I wish they would have had that kind of thing going on when we were in school back in the day. I wouldn't have been tall enough to really get that kind of money. I'm only 5'9". Nobody's gonna pay a 5'9" kid. But geez, if you got 6 foot or better, those kids could have really made a lot of cash flow.
Like I said, it would have made you think twice about getting a high school job because you wouldn't have needed one.
Well,
that's what I mean. Like I would have been so much more engaged in school with an NIL deal.
Yeah.
working not enticing.
So you mean to tell me I don't have to go spend 12 hours of my weekend working at a McDonald's and I can just hang out in my room and study and you'll pay me $20,000 a month? Sold. Let's go.
Yeah, right.
Then here's one. Keep in mind,
That's if you actually are doing it.
all door
If you're not
exits have evacuation
studying
slides
or
to use in
anything,
the unlikely event
But you
of
get
an emergency.
$20,000. I'm not interested
When
in
directed
studying
to
anyway.
exit,
It
jump
almost
onto
takes
the
a fight
slide
out of it.
and move away from the airplane. In a water evacuation,
Yeah, I mean, except you have to, like, there's stipulations in it, right? Because you got to be able to play sports. So I mean, you at least have to have a good enough GPA to stay on the team.
Yeah. It'd be one of those situations where a lot of these athletes, I think, would do just enough to get by. Where, like, if you have a C, like, you have to maintain, like, a C or a C minus to keep playing. Like, oh,
yeah,
okay, well, I'll just do really well on my tests, but, like, all the stuff in between, I just won't do well because those tests are going to account for more than just, like, the regular homework.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying I would have been a 4.0 student. Let's not get crazy here.
I would have been kind of in the middle of doing just enough to get by and then being, like, in that 3 range. Like,
let me tell you how it works. I'm the student. I'm getting $250,000. I'm going to go up to my teacher.
I feel like you're not a good test subject for this.
Probably not. But it would go something like this. Mr. John Doe, for every test that you just give me a C on, we don't want to make it look stupid, but you just give me a C. Here's a little $2,000. I'm just going to slide this right here. I'm going to walk away. And
you're
then,
trying to get people fired. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I'm sure that would never happen.
I'm sure
if I'm giving a teacher a $2,000 tip, you better give me that.
By a crew member. See your safety card for more details on how to use it.
If I'm giving the teacher $2,000 a month for, helping me out here, there better not be any more of these damn multiple choice tests. It better be straight essay tests, and whatever I put down on that essay question, I get an A on it.
No. If it's multiple choice, my bubbles are already filled. Like, what are you talking about?
all the above, all the way around.
Right?
I guess we're thinking more to like what me and Bo were talking about earlier. Like, trigonometry is I can guarantee I'm not going to pass trigonometry. I'm just going to be honest with you. So that would be a class, and I would be like, $2,000 for a C would be like an A.
Yeah. And the funny thing is too, like, when I was in college, one of my professors always said, like, the reason why she doesn't give out a multiple choice test is there are, like, sciences behind it where if you answered the same letter for every question, you can get basically between a D+ and a C-. So then it's a matter of, so if I answered all B's, change a couple of those up, maybe I get a B, maybe I get a C. So I did that.
I passed one drawing a design in the bubbles.
Well, that's what I did. That's what I did on my final. So on my midterm, I actually tried to take, like, the test, like how you're supposed to, like, answer everything. So I ended up getting, like, a C- on my midterm. I'm like, well, it could have been worse. So then after the teacher told us that, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with that theory on the final. So on the final, I filled in, like, all the same letters on the final. Ended up with a B-. I'm like, I like that theory.
But you know what? I don't even think they use Scantrons anymore. I think it's all on computer now.
Yeah, I don't think they do either.
No.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. I think the Scantron thing is done.
Because I know in my wife's class, all the kids, when they do their testing, it's all on computer. There's no written test. It's all computer stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess it almost makes it impossible to cheat, really, because you're doing it on a computer.
I like that comment from Freebird too, because if I'm getting $20,000 a month, you're damn right I'm getting 2 months of payments. I'm gonna go buy my car now. Pay for it in cash, not have to worry about a car payment down the road. Be like,
no, but it'd just be that. You'd be saving an assload of interest too.
Yeah. Like,
well, more than anything, I'm not buying that jalopy that you're like, am I going to make it to school? Am I going to push this off the side of the road? I don't really know.
If I start collecting that money in August, like when the school year starts, that's my Christmas present right there. A $70,000 car paid off in cash, not have to worry about anything but the insurance. Done to go. We're ready to roll.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. I think what I would do is, you're right. I think I would pay off the car because I wouldn't want to pay the interest on it. But I would go get me a nice 10,000 credit limit credit card. Not that I'm going to spend 10,000, but I'm going to spend a little bit and I'm going to pay it. I'm going to spend, and that way, By the time I get out of high school, I got a paid off car and I got an assload of good credit.
Yeah. So it's funny you think that now because you're 50.
Well, that's true. That's true.
It was different when you were 16. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna go buy a cool, a cool car. I'm gonna party it up. Like I'm gonna go do dumb stuff because you're a kid.
Well, hopefully, I guess the intent would be hopefully you would have good enough parents. I know that maybe that doesn't exist in these days, but hopefully you'd have strict enough parents that would teach you, hey, look, I know you got all this money. Let's see how we can maximize this money to where you have good credit, paid off car, low bills, and then that way you're setting yourself up for college. Hopefully you would have parents that would teach their kids. But I know that doesn't exist. I know we don't live in a utopian society, so I know that probably doesn't exist.
We don't live in a utopian society?
That would be the
I
ideal
wish we
setup.
did.
For sure, that'd be the ideal setup. The odds of most people encountering that is pretty low.
Right. And trust me, I totally agree with you. I can go around here, look out here in Conroe and know that doesn't exist. You know, just by the demographics.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have bought a different car because there's no way I would have spent the $180 that I did on my 83 Ford Escort just junk rocket that I would have went and bought something else.
I just wonder though, I gotta imagine that some of these kids that are going to be making this 20 grand, a month or whatever it is, I gotta imagine that most of those kids are, or at least a good portion of them, are probably going to come from single parent households or maybe low income households. And if they were getting that kind of money, what would that mean for their family? Not just that kid, but maybe the whole family as a whole. Maybe the mom and dad doesn't have to work nearly as hard. They can spend more time raising their kids, teaching them values, maybe doing the right things in their life, because they don't have to work a job and be absent out of the most of their life, right? So I wondered how much that is going to help the family dynamics of those lower income families or single parent families.
Well, that's where that pressure of you have to do this and you have to go to college for this. And I mean, that's where that outside pressure comes in, right? Right. Especially at the high school level, because the parents are the ones that have to sign the contract. So that's where that money lands. So yeah, no, it can be toxic in a hurry.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the wrong situation. So yeah, no,
absolutely.
This is going to be very interesting to watch as this comes together, especially as it has a couple of years into it, because the first year or two of it's probably not going to be that bad, but it'll start to devolve into some, like Pag said earlier, a real jealousy issue. Yep. Some parents that are just taking their kids' money situations. I mean, like it could get ugly fast.
Is this already, just out of curiosity, so this is already in effect, right? Like there are high school kids that are getting this money, right?
Yeah, this is happening.
This has been happening for a while. I'm not going to say for a while, but I'm guessing this has been happening since the NIL stuff has been going on, where these players can essentially sign for whatever NIL they want.
So I think
here's another thing.
I think what's new now is the dollar figure.
Yeah.
So I know that there was low level like buying stuff, and like I know kids like received cars, and so there were things that were enticing kids. But now when you're looking at you're getting 20 grand a month, I think that's where this is really starting to get the headlines, because before it was like, okay, you're getting a thing to commit, or you're getting some low level money, whatever, and because you heard about some of that anyway. But now that you're talking $250,000 a year, it's like, okay, now this is something.
Yep, exactly.
So
I wonder how many lawsuits are going to get generated with the kids suing parents for misappropriation of their funds.
I mean, there's going to be some of that.
You know what I'm saying?
There's going to be some of, like you mentioned before, where it's I'm not going to that school. You took all my money, so now it's on you guys to pay it back. I mean, there's absolutely going to be some of that type of stuff that happens.
That's just crazy. That's nuts. But it's where we live in. So keep on passing.
Oh yeah, no, this is going to be a crazy thing to see come together, because if the NIL wasn't crazy enough, now you put it at the high school level.
Yep.
Man, talk about some complications moving forward. And then you better hope that kid that you just spent all that money on
pans out,
right? Or even is good enough to make it out of high school. Like there's a good chance that it's like, oh yeah, as a freshman looks great. And then by the time he's a junior or senior, you're like, man, you know what? He just didn't get any bigger.
or what if the other scenario is, what if you put that money as a freshman and then junior year comes and he gets a career-ending injury of some kind or whatever, Yeah. And then, you lose out on that end of the stick as well. I mean, I think there's any number of things that could happen that, but at the end of the day, Bo, as you know, and I know, the college has got so much damn money that they really care. They probably don't care. They're probably going to write it off and go on to the next kid.
And that's the thing, is it's not even from the schools. It's the
Right.
NIL collective, right? So they're loosely associated with the school, but that's like donors and stuff like that. So it's a weird scenario, because then the schools are like, oh, it's not us,
Yeah.
right? Which is why I think it's funny that they're not even hiding the name at all. They're just like, oh, it's the NIL collective. It's our little redheaded
It's the
stepchild,
boosters.
right? Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny. This is gonna get mostly downside, is what I see.
Yeah, I mean, because nothing's ever a given. I mean, you pay the money, like you said. Maybe it pans out, maybe it doesn't. And I gotta imagine that the boosters and the schools and things, they've already got contingencies for that. They have to have contingencies. They can't just go in this, like, they gotta have exit strategies in case something like this happens. Because
it's monopoly money. If the kid doesn't pan out, they just move on. That's no different than when kids are in school and they gave them either NIL or before that scholarships. You get in there and you're just not that dude at the next level. They're like, okay, well, you lose your scholarship. See you later. Or NIL wise, they're like, okay, well, we gave you the money for this year, but you don't have another year in you, at least not from us. So
yeah, you're damn right.
And that's why so many of these are, 1-year deals, because you just never know. So, you're not signing college kids to long-term deals. You don't even know if they're going to stay engaged in school long enough to stay in school.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Did you catch the text message I put in the group chat? I don't know if y'all saw that or not.
Yeah, was that
No,
one?
not yet. But and there's this too. Like there's going to be some of those.
Oh, yes.
I mean, like we didn't even get into that part of it. Like there's
Johnny, did you hear what Johnny did to me? Yeah, Johnny, it wasn't consensual.
Yeah, right?
It wasn't consensual. I just want to let you know that right up off the rip.
Or I'm pregnant.
Oh, that's even another one.
So I mean, like it's
don't worry about it, Johnny. You don't gotta put the condom on. It's okay.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. No, it's man, it's gonna be crazy. But on the good side of it, shows like this will thrive when there's a low news day and they got something crazy going on.
The content is going to be endless.
Hey, we appreciate the NCAA helping us fill those slow days during the year.
Are you sure?
It's wild. But at the same time, interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's very interesting to see how that plays out. And that's the thing, too, because like North Shore, like the school I went to, which is right next door to Channel View, Jalen Hurts and all that kind of stuff, that's a max prep school. So these kids that are going to North Shore typically aren't from that area. They bring these kids in from all over the place to attend that high school. So I got to imagine that's probably going to be a breeding ground for just exactly what we're talking about. I can see kids getting those kinds of deals at North Shore, and that typically is a very low income side of town. So I could see a lot of things like that occurring just in that one spot alone, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that they're actively targeting low income. Right?
I'm saying that specific school though, the demographic, is single parent households or low income housing. I mean, it just is. So I think that's why they bring them in, and I can see, I'm just saying I can see that being targeted. I'm not saying every kid that goes to North Shore High School that they bring in is going to be of a low income household. I'm just saying the area in which that school is already at is a low income single family type.
Mail from that school showing up.
Right.
Jay is not actually associated with his show.
So please don't hold him accountable for nothing.
Just
He
out
does
here,
not represent the views of this channel.
I'm like Feather Freebird 2.0.
that just should roll at the beginning of every show.
Disclaimers.
Man.
You're right. So anybody that goes to North Shore High School would think that that's the richest area of town. I'm just saying. You know,
It doesn't matter if it's true. People don't like facts.
Oh man, yeah, you're probably right.
Don't ruin a good story with facts. Just this show brought to you in part by True Fusion Gym. Use the QR code right here on the screen. Free 5-day pass. Any of the 3 locations: Bellevue, Ballard, University Village, Pilates Boot Camp, Yoga Bar, and more. Find your edge, True Fusion Gym. And of course, if you're here in the Pacific Northwest as well, and you haven't done your duct cleaning in a time period that you don't remember, it is that time. More than 15,000 dryer fires every year, and dryer cleaning starting at just $150. So get those things cleaned and help protect your house. All right.
Poor Bo. It's a rough day today, but we're gonna make it through.
Yeah,
we're gonna make it through, Bo.
Brain is already somewhere else today because it clearly didn't need to be in this show. Oh man. So speaking of a terrible showing, both of our teams got smoked last night.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, your team got beat up. We got absolutely smacked in extra innings. We headed into the 10th, tied at 2, and then lost 9-3. Gave up a 7-run 10th. That is rough.
Who was on the mound for you yesterday?
Apparently nobody.
Hey, you did the best impression of what you did. The best impression what the Cubs did like 2 weeks ago against the Giants.
Hey, but I only asked that because when the Astros played yesterday, I was worried about yesterday's game. I kind of felt like we were not going to win yesterday because we put Gusto on the mound, and Gusto's he's a good pitcher. The problem is he's more of a reliever, which I told you earlier. We have lost so many of our starters, that we're either playing, minor leaguers, as we call it, from Sugarland, or we're throwing a guy like Gusto, which is typically a reliever, coming in. And so yesterday typically was a bullpen game. Honest, let's be honest. Yesterday was a bullpen game. We had no starter. We just had bullpen guys. So I kind of already knew that, this is probably not going to go the way I want it to go. And all I could do was, and when that came to fruition, I then said to me, my only true saving grace here is that the Mariners pooped the bed. And thank God it happened.
They did that. There's no doubt. I mean, you guys got smacked, though. 13-3 is rough.
Yeah, and I knew that was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to be 13, but I knew we were going to probably take an L,
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I was hoping you guys were going to, but I didn't see 10 runs in 2 innings. Like, I didn't. The 7th and 8th, you guys got absolutely crushed.
Oh, yeah, we were destroyed. We were destroyed. And, and that's what I was trying to tell you earlier. I feel like this is the way our season always goes, right? When we get wins, we're hoping you get a loss, but it doesn't. When we get wins, you get wins. And when we take a beating, 9 times out of 10, you take the beating with us most of the time. That's why our records are always so close.
Well, and that's why we have this graphic here for what it's like to be a Mariners fan. Every year we just so yeah, we're in this it's still early, lots of season left, like that. We're on that slide right now, and then later in the year we'll get that streak, and then if we'd only had a couple more wins. So and that's why I still think that we're like an 89 win team. That's sadly, that's probably where we are. We might get a wild card team out of this division, but it doesn't look good so far. But you're saying there's
we're right there with you. Listen, the Astros are right there with you. Like us, given our injuries and our starting rotation, I think we're probably 80 to somewhere between 80 and 90, and I think that's where you guys are, somewhere between 80 and 90.
Well, I think that's our division. That's all.
You're right. Well, I don't know. I think Texas might be a little worse. Texas and the Angels, I think they're going to be maybe 70 to 80. Is what I'm thinking.
So the
I
Angels,
don't
for
think
sure.
they'll be 80, 81.
The Angels for sure. The Rangers go on weird streaks, so they
Yeah.
could absolutely still be right there challenging. Those are the three teams I think really have a shot. But the thing is because our division plays the way it does, you either have to win the division or you're probably not in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's interesting to me though. Usually in our division, the three teams are usually strong, and the bottom two teams are usually really weak, whatever. And the Angels and the A's. This year, it's like the top teams have taken a slide down, and the bottom teams are actually stronger than what they were in previous. It's weird how the division is actually working in terms of strength and what we've had
Well,
previously.
yeah, the bottom of the division is just playing a little bit better
Than they have been, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the top of the division is really playing better. It's just the bottom is playing a lot worse,
Oh,
or
for
a
sure.
lot better than it's been. Because I mean, our division's pretty average for across the league at the moment.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like it's not like we're out of the running or anything. Which is why I say like there's a chance you could get a wild card out of here, but I would imagine some of these teams start to turn it on a little bit. And I don't know that either of our teams are currently constructed in a way where anybody's turning it on, right? Like we both have injuries in some key spots. We have Kirby come back, but he hasn't been the same guy quite yet. And, which, you generally aren't after you miss some time. But yeah, no, none of us have the horses in the stable to just like turn it up. Unless one of our teams actually makes some moves before the trade deadline, which is mid-July, right? Or is that the All-Star break? Maybe it's the end of June is the trade deadline. I'll have to look. I don't remember offhand. But yeah, I mean, unless somebody starts making some moves, nobody in our division is gonna be like, oh, let's just hit second gear and go. It's just like, oh yeah, what we got is what we got.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we do get you guys right after the All-Star. I mean, like that, you're like the first series up. Yeah, we get you on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. And that tells me the All-Star game must be the weekend before the 18th of July.
Yes, yeah, it's mid-July, yeah.
Right. So I was telling Mel last night, I said the only thing we need to do, if we can't get first place by All-Star, we just need to be a game or a half a game. If we're a game or half a game behind you, then I feel like we could take over the division if we have a good showing against you after the All-Star break.
Yeah, well, and again, based on history, that's a series you guys could easily walk away with, because the Mariners just routinely aren't playing great baseball after the All-Star break for whatever reason. They seem to fumble the bag a little bit for a few weeks after the All-Star break. So the fact that we are head-to-head with you guys right out of it isn't great, especially because historically you guys start to turn it on after the All-Star break. Like that's when you guys start to actually play good baseball.
Right.
So, that could be a real problem for the Mariners. We'll see what happens there, but I don't have a lot of faith in their ability to play good baseball for that 3 weeks after the All-Star break, just because they haven't shown me their ability to do it since the 90s.
Okay, 2001. You still have 2001.
Yeah, so that was such an outlier season. Like I don't put a lot of
I just
stock.
don't know at what point are we ever going to get Garcia or Javier back, or even for that matter, Alvarez. He's still on the IR. I'm hoping we get Alvarez maybe back middle of June would be nice, so you can get some time in before the All-Star break. But at this point, and Stag, I don't know. I mean, this Tommy John thing is crazy, man. I mean, we were supposed to have had Garcia back at the beginning of this season, and he's had some setbacks, and same thing with Javier. So I don't know if we're even going to see them this season or not.
Well, it would almost make sense to not. Like, if you're missing them this long, it would almost make some sense to set them aside for the year and then go get somebody.
Right.
Because if they're on IR, they don't hurt your cat, or they don't hurt your payroll, right? So I mean, yeah, just
But the only thing that bothers me with that is I feel like if we had Garcia and Javier come back, let's say at some point after the All-Star break, gives them a few months to get back into the groove before the playoffs. I feel like we would have a better shot in the playoffs. If we don't get Javier back or Garcia back, and we go into the playoffs without those two guys, then there's no way in hell I see the Astros. Even if we make the playoffs, I don't see them doing anything in the playoffs because our pitching staff is so terrible due to injuries. You know what I'm saying? And so it's almost kind of like, you take your shot.
Well,
we won't be competitive.
It's why I kind of laugh at, people are like, oh, the bats are cold. It's like, well, no, the bats are.
The bats are normal.
Yeah, the bats are what they are, right? Like, we have guys that can hit the ball, but they don't consistently do it. So, right. You go through this upward thing where they're like, oh yeah, the bats came alive. This is what we thought. And it's just like, no, let's calm down. We watched these same bats last year. We signed 0 new bats. So for them to be like, oh, everybody's just going to have a career year this year. Like, what are you smoking? Like, that's not a real thing. So
yeah. It's almost the same thing with the torpedo bat. We all thought, I thought when I saw the Yankees come out the way they did with those torpedo bats, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But now now that we're getting closer to the All-Star break, and really the torpedo bats haven't really had as much of an effect, as I think maybe what a lot of us thought they were going to have.
No, I think we're never going to have a huge effect because you have to barrel them up.
Yeah.
Right? They have a bigger sweet spot, but it means you tap anywhere else on the bat, and it's not a good hit. At least before, with a uniform, you could smack at the ball. Like these torpedo bats are designed to smash it into the stands or record an out.
Right. No, that makes sense. It's either hot or cold. Like it's not a consistency there's no consistency with it, really.
Yeah. So, if you're really consistent at barreling up, then awesome. Like the bat could be a thing. But there's a reason that a lot of the guys that, even on the teams that have torpedo bats, don't use it because it won't help the way they swing. So I didn't think it was going to be a huge deal just because, there's a thicker spot, but you have to hit the ball right there. It's not like the red bat with a wiffle ball where it's this long, this big around, right? Like it's,
Yeah. So basically what you're saying, it still goes back to mechanics. You can have this torpedo bat, but if your mechanics aren't sound, then the bat really isn't going to help you.
If you're not squaring up the ball in the sweet spot, it's not going to matter. Right. So it's, I think people blew it out of proportion.
I think people blew it out of proportion because the Yankees treated the first 3 games of the season like it was a home run derby. And that's because the Brewers pitching sucked that weekend.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is the Brewers pitching was trash.
Thinking Carlos Rodon threw 6 pitches in the first inning and it was 4-0 on 4 solo shots.
Yeah. But the other thing to keep in mind is, Judge is ripping the cover off the ball and he doesn't use that bat. No. So it's not like you need it.
No.
Right.
Now, granted, he's just a monster human, so that's a little different. But
didn't you say his bat was like incredibly heavy? Like he uses a pretty heavy bat, doesn't he?
It's a tree trunk, really.
It's a 40. The normal Major League Baseball bats are between 36 and 38 inches. His bat is 40 inches. And
he's like 40 or 41, huh?
And like a normal Major League bat is like 36, 32, 38, 34. His is 40. He literally swings like a freaking tree trunk.
Yeah, well, but the dude is like 6'5" or 6'6" or something, right? Like
I think he's 6'9", like 280.
Oh, 6'9". Okay,
he's a monster human.
It's a monster human.
That's a freaking forward in basketball.
He did play basketball. He did play basketball in high school, and he was a very good basketball player in high school. He had several Division I offers to play basketball.
6'9".
Not a shock. You wouldn't even have to be good at basketball. If you're 6'9", you're getting offers. They're like, we can teach you how to play. It's just come.
So he's 6'8", 282. So that is
dude is a
ginormous human.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
But so he doesn't use the torpedo. In fact, they were saying based on the weight and the length
be able to use
it would have been like they wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And he would kill somebody if you had a bat like that.
yeah, it would be. I mean, I'd like to see him do it once, right?
Like launch a nuke with like 140 off the bat.
Right. And then it's landing at like 540 or something, just absolutely smashed. The problem is if you ever broke the head off the bat.
They should give up. They should somehow figure out.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't even want to think about that. That would be
right, like it'd be coming to kill somebody.
They should somehow figure out how to build him. I shouldn't say build him, but mold him his own torpedo bat. And if he commits to the home run derby, give it to him for the home run derby and just let him frickin' tee off.
I mean, I think it would be fun. Like if you're doing the home run derby, let's go for distance, right? Let's see just how far we can mash these things. Give them the aluminum bats.
There you go.
Like,
oh my god,
let them have that like ting, and just 650 feet away, like just unload on these.
Can you imagine if the home run derby was in Coors Field in Colorado and you gave Aaron Judge an aluminum bat?
No, that's what I'm saying.
There you go. 800 feet to dead center.
It'd be amazing. I mean, I'd watch that.
That you're talking like that would be like city blocks away. That ball would probably be landing.
Oh, no question. And I mean, they're going to need to do something like that after the realistic, strike, right? I mean, we're a year away from this thing collapsing because baseball is stupid.
Because baseball is stupid. They used to have a salary cap, and then they said, well, let's just get rid of the salary cap just because we don't want it. And now it's like, shit, we never should have got rid of it. But now it's like, we'll never get it back because players don't want it back. Why would they?
Well, it doesn't make any sense to them.
Yeah, because now you're limiting those hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. No,
exactly
we want
right.
that. That's not the American way, Dustin.
I would like to make I'd like to make $23 million to pitch maybe 3 innings a week.
Yeah,
that's what closers are getting now. They're getting 5 years, $115 million to pitch 3 innings a week.
Yeah,
I'd like to get there.
And look how much preservation they keep on their arm because they're not having to go out and throw 40 or 50, 60, 80, whatever. They're out there probably throwing 15, 20.
Yeah, well, this is the whole idea there, Gino, is we want him to get it out of the stadium. Like, let's get that first 600-foot home run.
Could you imagine some dude's out there in a crosswalk getting ready to cross the street and get slammed in the face with the ball?
At least it wouldn't be going that fast anymore, right? It'd be around.
Don't you remember the Miller Park home run derby when Sammy Sosa was in it?
Yeah.
Like every ball he was hitting was like 530, 540, just like cranking him like out the glass windows in the back. If you gave Aaron Judge an aluminum bat at Miller Park, he would be shattering those glass windows to nothing.
Barry Bonds have done
the scoreboard.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that would have been great. All of those ones that McGuire and Sosa were hitting that were, basically leaving the area code. I think, you give a guy like Judge an aluminum bat and you just see, if it needs a passport or something. Like, the thing would be going forever.
What would Bonds have done with an aluminum bat? I mean, Bonds put it.
So he was really good at hitting home runs, but he didn't hit them quite as far.
Not the distance.
Yeah,
Okay.
Not the distance of the McGuire and Sosa. Like, those guys were absolutely just putting those things way out there. But I mean, Bonds was great at hitting them, no question.
Interesting.
But McGuire and Sosa, they both had like the 530, 540. I mean, those things were going forever. So
is McGuire in the Hall of Fame, or was he part of?
No. He woke up every morning eating steroids for breakfast. So, I mean,
so him and Sosa and Bonds, they're all into that.
They're all in that you can't get in.
Yeah.
Which, whatever, right? Let the guys in. They are what helped save baseball from the last strike. So, I mean, let them in, put the asterisk net. I mean, they were hitting guys that were also eating steroids every day. So, I mean, yeah.
Let me ask you this. So Manfred comes out, since we're talking about people getting in, not getting in. Manfred comes out and says, Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe, it was long overdue, lifted the ban against him. Well, if he says it's long overdue, why the hell didn't he? Because correct me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong on this, but wasn't Pete Rose still alive when Manfred was commissioner?
Yeah, so they were never going to do it while he was alive. That was
So what
never
is the
gonna-
overdue part that he's talking about? What does he
it's-
mean? It's
So they were never going to do it while he was alive because he was such a jerk about it, right? So they were gonna hold him out regardless. Now that he's passed, now they're going to do it because they just want the conversation to go away. Because him not being in was always a huge conversation for the entire month leading up to the new Hall of Fame people. Now you're going to put him in. Nobody's going to talk about him. He's passed away, so you're not going to see him. And now he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, so you can't have this argument every year. So, I mean, this is their way of making it so they don't ever have to talk about Pete Rose again. Like, this is really what it is. Because otherwise,
right.
if it wasn't going to be a conversation every single year moving forward, they'd still hold him out. They just know that there's always this conversation and they want to be done with it.
Right.
But they never wanted to give Pete Rose the satisfaction of
But is he
getting
really done with it? Because when he comes out and says a statement of, it's been long overdue for Shoeless Joe and for Pete, to me that makes it sound like, does the conversation really go away, or does the conversation just shift into, well, if it was overdue, why did you wait so long?
No,
You know what I mean?
as soon as he gets inducted, that'll be it.
It's just game over. No other ifs, ands, or whatever's.
Yeah, nobody's. They're gonna be like, yeah, it was overdue, but now he's in, and then you're gonna keep it pushing. So yeah, no, it's definitely a situation where they're just trying to make it so you never have to talk about him again, and
Right.
largely it'll work because no one's ever going to get close to his hit record or anything like that. So he'll get mentioned in nostalgia pieces and stuff like that, but it won't be he just rules the headline for a month ahead of ahead of the Hall of Fame inductees.
Right.
Now it's going to be like, obviously this year he will because he's going to get inducted. He'll be a first ballot, no question.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
But after that, that's it. Like, it'll be a side note. Be like, oh yeah, Pete finally got in last year. And then that's it. Here's the new inductees. There's not going to be all of this debate of should he get in or shouldn't he, or like none of that's going to happen anymore.
Because I understand that he had a lifetime ban on baseball, but isn't the Hall of Fame still a separate entity from MLB? So, I mean, the Hall of Fame could have let him in. I'm assuming they didn't let him in because it didn't align with what MLB was wanting. Is that kind of how that whole thing?
I guess all things being equal, a lifetime ban was he's not alive. So
No, but that was on the MLB side though. But isn't the Hall of Fame a separate thing? So even though MLB can ban him lifetime, but it doesn't necessarily ban him from Hall of Fame. I think the Hall of Fame just didn't let him in because of the MLB.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
technically they're not the same entity, but yeah,
No,
I mean,
but
they work hand in hand.
you can use kind of, it's obviously a completely different situation or whatever, but you can compare what happened with Pete Rose, where basically he was banned from the Hall of Fame until now, and compare it to the Trevor Bauer situation right now, because Trevor Bauer is essentially banned from baseball when he's been found innocent of everything, but no one wants to sign him because like I've said before, I think either the commissioner has said something to every single one of the GMs in baseball where if they sign him, there's going to be repercussions that come with it, as in, oh, if you sign Bauer, we're just going to suspend him for a year, so there's no point to signing him. Or these teams don't want to sign him and have all the media headaches that come with it. But Trevor Bauer's in the same situation.
It's probably a lot of that.
Yeah.
Right. They just don't want the headaches.
Yeah, like Trevor Bauer's in the same situation as Pete Rose, where, Pete Rose obviously did something way worse than Trevor Bauer did because Trevor Bauer was proven innocent. But he's essentially has a lifetime ban from baseball where he probably never will step on another Major League Baseball field again unless his team from Japan is playing somebody from here.
Yeah.
And he struck out 14 batters in 6 innings last night in his last start.
I'm surprised that Trevor Bauer couldn't just sue MLB for blackballing him when he was found innocent.
It doesn't matter, though, because it won't help you get a job.
It won't help you get a job. It might help him get paid, but it's not going to help him get back in the major leagues, because if he sues Major League Baseball and wins, no one's going to give him a shot, because it's like, well, why the hell would we just want somebody that just sued Major League Baseball? Like, that's our boss that you just sued, and now you want us to sign you to our organization? Nope, not happening.
Yeah, no, it's if you go that route, you guaranteed not to play again.
Look at that. What you just said, Bo, is a prime example. Look at Brian Flores in the NFL.
Yeah.
He tried to sue the NFL for basically thinking that he wasn't getting hired because of his skin color. And what's happened since? No team has touched him for a head coaching opportunity because they're like, you sued our boss. Why would we give you a head coaching opportunity when you did that?
Absolutely. That brings us to the top of the hour. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you are on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully you're doing something fun. Take it easy, everybody.